Welcome back to Black News Tonight. A new initiative is advocating for African-centered and African-controlled neuroscience research in an effort to advance brain research on the continent and beyond. Understanding how the human brain functions remains one of the greatest challenges facing scientists, but a lot of brain research involves a small and well-funded group of labs without much connection with the African continent. But now, former U.S. Representative for Pennsylvania's 2nd Congressional District, Chaka Fattah, and founder of the African Brain Wellness Initiative, Dr. Amadi Ihunwo, are teaming up to bridge the gap in neuroscience in the hope of improving brain wellness globally. Mr. Fattah and Dr. Ihunwo, thank you both for joining me on the show. Congressman, I'm going to start with you. What led to Fattah Global partnering with the Brain Wellness Initiative, and what does this agreement, this partnership, signal?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be with you and to talk to, I think, the most important audience anywhere to be found this evening, and that is to our community about the importance of addressing this challenge. It's a real, we have almost 1.5 billion people in the world with a neurological disorder or disease. We have hundreds of diseases like Alzheimer's, epilepsy, autism. You know, you have mental health challenges, schizophrenia, depression. Go through the laundry list. They have something in common. We don't have any cures. We don't have any effective treatments. And in neuroscience, and I led the U.S. effort, which is a multi-billion-dollar effort, still ongoing. And the Europeans have a major effort, the Chinese. But I said last year that I felt that it was important that we focus on African neuroscience. And it's a simple point. The modern human brain emerged in Africa. The environment that trained and informed the modern human brain is in Africa. And we have to think about finding some answers that have eluded us by uplifting African neuroscience and neuroscientists. And so I spoke to the Society of Neurosciences in Africa. Dr. Amadi offered me the opportunity to address them on this subject. And I said that we needed to create a fund that could allow African-directed research to start to analyze some of the challenges and to think anew about issues that really have eluded us for a very, very long time with no real hope in front of us. So we're taking a new approach. This is a 5-year partnership that we have inked today between Fattah Neuroscience, which is my company, and the Brain Wellness Initiative, which is a legacy of Dr. Amadi and his great leadership, and you're going to hear from him. But there is clearly, he's one of the leading neuroscientists anywhere in the world, not just in Africa, but anywhere in the world. And he's agreed to help move this effort forward. And we intend 5 years from now to be talking about the results of this work. And all along the way, we think there's going to be amazing results from this collaboration.
I like how that sounds.
Well, it has to happen.
You know, 5 years, results, collaboration. Yeah, all of it sounds great. Dr. Amadi, let me bring you in. Late last year, we saw South African scientists make an early detection of the COVID-19 variant Omicron, and it allowed the world to get a head start on combating this highly contagious emerging strain. How can the situation be applied in having African inclusion when it comes to other things? You know, the scientific community's quest to advance brain research, for example, or any other medical challenges we have. How can we bring in the best intellectual and scientific resources from the continent of Africa?
Thanks, Marc. I think the Omicron was a good example to redirect attention to Africa. And for us, we are coming in on the neuroscience front. The beauty is that it is possible that within the continent, we can drive a brain-related research on the continent. We don't have to always wait until we move to the north, but rather we can do it right there on the continent. I mean, Marc, just imagine a continent of 55 countries. I mean, with a 5-year project, that is just a beginning of what is there and available to be used and bring onto the global platform. I always talk about the neuro data on the African continent and the resources, the flora and fauna that we have, that if you can pick that data and bring it to the global platform, then you have a base for so many activities that can change the narrative. You know, we have data that has not been engaged, and we are coming in from the brain science environment, which of course I've been privileged to oversee on the continent for the past 4 years.
Mr. Fattah, what sparked your interest in getting involved in African neuroscience? You a West Philly guy, you from my way, you know, plenty of issues domestically that you've been engaged in. What brought you to Africa? What brought you to this issue?
Well, you know, in my home church at Mount Carmel, we had a Dr. Norton who, PhD at University of Chicago, did a lot of work on trauma related to our young people in an urban environment. Her research was fascinating. It showed that there was literally a physical change in the brain when you have sustained trauma and stress upon young people's lives. But that when they were returned to a safety and a safe environment, their brain returned to normal. This was fascinating to me. You and I know of my work, and you were involved with it, on getting young people to pursue terminal degrees in the hard sciences. I've always had an interest in cognition, but when I learned that the focus needed to be in those first 1,000 days, pediatric brain development, and how you got these 100 billion neurons in the human brain making connections, 700 connections every second, and that the brain is architectural and you got to stimulate it early. This taught me a lot. The Speaker of the House had me pull together some people who were chairs and subcommittee chairs when I was in the Congress to look at cognition, not just disease and disorders, but how we can improve in teaching and learning. That got my interest. But when I got the science portfolio, I decided to make neuroscience my #1 priority and to get our government moving in that direction. And with President Obama, we launched the Brain Initiative, $2 billion in the pipeline today, 1,000 research projects. We got another $4 billion in the pipeline. But I'm telling you now that I think that we have to be broader. When I was leaving the Congress, I was pushing for international collaboration. And now I'm really focused on that part of this. And I'm focused on Africa as the premier place where we have yet to even begin to make the resources available to scientists there. Not to have them do what we want them to do, but to have scientists do what scientists do best, which is have a theory, have a hypothesis, apply it, perturb the theory, see if it works, and to work from failure to success. And the world needs to find success on the neurological front. As you said at the beginning of this interview, it's the greatest area of mystery that still exists today. And the best scientists in the world, the Nobel Prize winners, will tell you neuroscience is a field where it is still more one of ignorance, not in a derogatory way, but we lack knowledge. We lack knowledge about.
It makes sense. We have a lot of ground to cover. We got a lot of space to explore. We got a lot to figure out with neuroscience. And too often we've left that to the Europeans. We've left that to white people. But to say, look, Africa has something to contribute here. We have the richest minds, the most fertile resources. We have every opportunity to do this. And it will help African people. It'll help black people around the world. But it'll make the entire globe, irrespective of race, class, gender, or geography, better when Africa's involved in a full partner in all of this. Congressman Fattah, Dr. Amadi, I want to thank you both for joining me on Black News tonight.